This clip is Twitch in 2019.
Dude, a Twitch admin just gifted subs on my stream. A Twitch admin. Dude, a Twitch admin just...
Scar Lord, 5 gifted subs. Rocky Pants, 5 gifted subs.
People don't care about the context or the content of what you're saying. They only care to agree or disagree with the energy of what you're saying. So a good example of this is like one of these videos that I did with is PewDiePie supporting a scam. This is probably our best done video in recent memory, right? No one really cares about the content of this video. And no one's gonna, even if you watch the whole video, nobody actually reads into it. They either agree or disagree with the concept. So you either agree with based on like the very loose interpretation of what you've heard, or you just disagree because you're a PewDiePie fan, or you just think it's not true, or you think it's overhyped, or you hate Twitch or whatever. But people, the vast majority of people seem to come in with a preconceived notion of like what is right and what is wrong. And then my video actually doesn't do anything to sway that. My video just reinforces what they think, or it just it opposes what they think, and then they go against it. So another good example was like Article 13, right? So I did 2 videos about Article 13, and this is maybe one of the most fascinating things. So check out this, right? This first Article 13 video got more dislikes than it got likes, and it's basically what I'm saying is Article 13 is good for you and content creators, right? So this is an opinion piece, and it's worded as an opinion piece. Now I'm 100% right on this, right? Like I've interpreted the law. I've gone to a bunch of experts. Like Article 13 is objectively fine. There's nothing wrong with it. It's just a huge overblown thing. But in this video, I said Article 13 is good for you and content creators. I made an opinionated statement. Then in this video, which got 1/5 of the views, the top 4 things the media got wrong about Article 13. This is not an opinion. This is just a factual article, right? Look at the like to dislike ratio. It's almost 10 to 1, right? What happened there? Isn't that fascinating? That is so interesting. That happened because this is an opinion piece. People are not looking at the content. They don't care. They're just thinking about how the issue relates to them. And then they are applying that to their framework of the world. Maybe less than 1 to 5% of the audience is actually getting any kind of change whatsoever. Like, I'm not changing anyone's opinion, really. In the top 4 media got wrong article, I basically say the exact same thing that I said in the 20-minute video. I go through point by point, and I just say very quickly, like, what the common misconceptions are of the article. If you disagree with Article 13, this video is not going to make anybody agree with it. But there's enough facts in here that like would actually prove the point to the contrary. It's just that people don't care about that. So one of the most interesting things that I've come across now is this idea that my content actually doesn't matter. The content of my content. All that matters is the sort of energy that I portray. To people. So like the way that I make you feel based on my tonality and my energy and my evocation, to use an improv term, right? The ability to like push something out into the world, and either like a difference between evoking something in the terms of like, how you doing, guys? My day was great. To, hey guys, what's up? My day was fantastic. I'm gonna share with you and tell you why, right? That energy, that difference, that tonality is all the difference. I said the same thing 2 times, but the tonality and energy is all people pick up on, because nobody can be asked to actually pay attention to the context or the content of it. And so I've been kind of like subtly doing this, where overwork culture in the game industry, which is a video that's doing pretty well, has 58 likes. Because who in their right mind, I know someone's probably gonna go and dislike it now, but who in their right mind would disagree with this? Like that overwork culture is a thing in the game industry. This is a, then the fact that it's 5 minutes and whatever I say just doesn't matter. There's not, so I could increase the production quality, I could script this video, I could do a lot better to present this subject, but nobody cares. It just doesn't matter. They just want to come in with their preconceived notion of what they already think. and then they want to apply that to the framework of the world. So this is both really interesting and also really depressing, because it's really depressing because what it means is that none of us are being modified in any direction, really, are we? We are kind of changing our, and this also, I think this also speaks to first impressions and maybe how powerful those are, that like once we get the idea that something is a certain way, it is extremely difficult for us to think about it a different way. We hear a rumor, or we hear something, or we hear that something is a certain way. And then we just sort of like, it sort of just like gets set in stone that that thing is that way. And no matter, like Article 13 being another, like just going back to that great example of this, right? Where it's like, this was never a thing. But there are so many people, I still constantly hear people talking about Article 13 being a thing because because people, talk about the initial perception was negative, and now people are just writing off of that. Another really interesting thing is like the compliments that I get or the criticism that I get is never specific. It's never things like, hey, in your YouTube video on minute 7, you talked about something in Article 13 that I don't think is right? They're always these really general things like, hey, I love your content. I love like the kind of thing you're doing. I love like what it feels like. And this is one of the reasons why I think channels that evoke some kind of like art or something like that tend to do like much better in terms of engagement on YouTube. So people like Peter Holland, who objectively and statistically has like the highest engagement, despite the fact that he doesn't have the highest subscribers. When he makes a video, his engagement is insane. And I think it's because it's really easy for somebody to actually identify with this, right? And immediately engage with it. Another really good example of this is, so what I'm saying is like feeling and tonality matter like completely. Okay. So, and we can use this with like every single example. So I've realized like through this, I guess, just how like incredibly impressionable and really how little effort I need to do if I wanted to do it. So I guess like I don't need to provide any actual value through these videos, right? I've been striving to provide value because that's like a personal value point for me, but I can just max out the thumbnail with the most clickbait thing. And then all I need to do is say the most controversial thing I can possibly do. So it's a super easy formula. This is how it works. And this is what people like Trainwrecks or like whoever, they do this every time, and it works unbelievably well. There's a whole community of people on Twitch that have done this. Twitch didn't start this way because it was like a new platform, but now, like browsing like LiveStreamFail, I see maybe the top like 10 or 15 posts just do this. It's super easy. So what you do is, it's based on the premise that your actual content, like what you're actually saying, doesn't matter, right? And then you create like a short opinion that's super controversial, usually directed at someone negatively, right? And usually the people that are being directed at are also in on it, right? So like a lot of these people are like friends, and then people go bounce back and forth, right? And then when you create a drama situation, so it can be like two friends fighting, or it's like a sort of like a masquerade under like an ethical issue. So like, should pole dancers be allowed on Twitch, right? And then you need to say something like, all people that pole dance are disgusting, right? So make a like bold statement that is controversial. And you think like, this doesn't get you in any trouble. Nobody will remember you ever do this. They'll just remember again, right? They're not, what you're saying doesn't matter. It's the context, it's the feeling, the tonality. You want to get people on your side. You want to like create this kind of like army type mentality of like people just sort of following, right? So you say something like this, and then one critical component is you get someone who doesn't think that to fight back, right? And then this interaction creates content, basically. And then this becomes a content generation machine. And so all you need to do is you just need to say the next more controversial thing, and you just need to create new dramatic situations. It's actually extremely easy to do this content, right? On YouTube, the variant of this is like H3H3, right? Where if you go to these guys are basically making meta videos about how ridiculous YouTube is, right? So H3H3 Prankster Tier List is just a commentary, a meta commentary on like all these people that do like kissing pranks, and that like content thieves, right? Shane Dawson did what with his cat? 3 million views. And these are, and then you actually click on these videos, and they're not high production at all. Like, well, that's decently nice. But like these are not. It's basically just him talking with like relatively like low editing, right? Using the same effects like over and over again, right? About the meta of some YouTuber. And this works unbelievably well. And what I'm realizing is like how insanely easy it is to do this content. You don't ever need to provide, it's all like, I think a lot of these people, I used to think were just objectively evil, but now I realize like they just understand that like making videos like this, I'm never gonna really provide value to anybody. If I do provide value to anybody, it's going to be in the terms of a feeling. It's going to be in terms of like, you made me feel like like a lot of the emails and like messages I get, and I'm not downplaying these are really important, but a lot of people that say like, hey, like you've improved my life in some way is because of like the feeling you get when interacting with me, right? Like I'm a person that like really tries to like optimize my life and get after it. And that example is what I think people are focusing on. They're not focusing on anything I actually say in my videos. So I could easily, and like I've been playing around with this with these videos like this. And then I think some people have also been seeing me do this on Twitch, right? Where I'll look at an issue and I'll try to be controversial for just controversy's sake, and I just get insane. I can't believe how well this stuff does. I could just sit on this channel all day talking about all the dumb shit that Riot Games does and Facebook does and Google does and everything, or other streamers do. I could directly become adversarial to the I think that one of the best things I could do is directly become adversarial to the actual streamer community. So like I could just be like, okay, I could literally take the position that like everything that these sort of like meta IRL streamers of Twitch do is bad, and that they're killing Twitch. And if I took this position and I advocated enough and I made these really spicy 20-second shorts that I could easily script off screen, right? They'll hit LiveStreamFail 100% because people want the drama. It'll push myself up. Then I'll become a successful IRL streamer, and then I'll be in that same media. And then people like Mizkif and people like this have just figured out how to do this, right? And they're able to grow GreekGodX. Like they've been able to grow their channels extremely quickly because they just get into this mix. It's so interesting how this works. And like the threshold for people's belief in something or tolerance in something is so unbelievably low that it's like you could just get away with this so easily. But this is fundamentally really shit content. Like it doesn't have any actual value to anybody. Could you say that other people's way is for quick turnover while your way is longer lasting and affects people's lives more? No, I can't say that. I don't think that I'm making any difference at all. So I think just as easily as like I could say like, yeah, there are some people that have like benefited from what I do. I don't think it's any more meaningful than like Trainwrecks or like GreekGodX or whatever, where there are probably a lot of people that are sending GreekGodX messages that are like, hey man, like I was in a bad place and like your stream makes me laugh. And like, I think GreekGodX and Trainwrecks and people like that are doing way more good than me. But like and I can't place why, but there's something that I really dislike about the way that they're doing things. And I can't place why it is. Because when I like really think about it, there's nothing like ethically wrong with it or like morally wrong with it, right? But it's just like there's something wrong with Twitch at that level. The IRL section of Twitch feels bad. And I can't explain why that is yet, but the way that I would equate it is in the only way that I know how, which is business, okay? Like, if I was a brand, I would never, ever want to advertise with Trainwrecks, right? I would never, ever want to advertise on his channel because associating my brand with him would associate my product and service and it would reduce the quality and the credibility of that product or service. Now, I can't explain why that is. I don't know, like, what exactly that's about. There's some sort of ephemeral, again, it's all about like tonality and feeling, right? But there's something in that, encompassed in that is not good. And I can't explain it. You don't fancy yourself a clown in a circus, not to knock them, make a living off it, and they do good. But at the end of the day, People show up for the freak show to the point that you don't fancy yourself part of that. Yeah, but the thing is, like, what differs them from a stream like mine, really? Or like, if we're gonna measure things by like the total amount of good that they do, right? I guarantee you there are people that are messaging Trainwrecks every day that are like, "Hey man, you've changed my life." Way more people than message me, right? Like, so I'd say Trainwrecks like objectively probably does more good, or at least has much more impact than I do. So like, is my position even really good? You know what I mean? There's something about the IRL section of Twitch that I can't stand. It's like something that I like really like oppose. But I also can't deny like its impact. Their content is emotionally damaging in my opinion. People who constantly soak it up always end up angry and bitter and ready to fight all the time. I've lost friends in that bubble. So that's a really cool take. I think that's a really interesting thing you just said, which is like the idea that following like drama culture and being involved in that is like an inherently like toxic thing for the mind. And because and actually I think this might be true. This is something I talked about a lot, which is like, if no matter who you are, you have to be really, really careful about what you allow into your mind space on a especially on a consistent basis. So I've talked a lot about people, right? I fight negativity really hard, like on the front line. If I'm feeling like there's negativity in my life, I do everything I can to like remove myself from it. It's one of the problems that it's one of the reasons why the Dungeons and Dragons stuff has been so difficult for me, because it's by far been probably the most negative thing in my life since CLG, like for 2 years, just dealing with the community, and now the constant questions and back and forth about it. Like there's basically nothing I can do. Right, the only thing I can do is stop existing, is stop streaming, which I've considered because of this. It's that bad. It's actually that bad. So like in that kind of circumstance, I always try to like push negativity like out of my life. So I don't know like what it's like to absorb that kind of thing, but like maybe those communities are like worse off. Like maybe they're less happy. It's really hard to say though, isn't it? Do you find reality TV distasteful as well? Yeah, for the exact same reasons. I mean, I think reality TV is the evolution of reality TV is like YouTube reacts to other YouTuber videos, and the evolution of that is like Twitch. Like I think like if it like the whole problem with like Twitch is like summed up in like one clip that's like top of LSF right now. Yeah, this clip is Twitch in 2019.
Dude, a Twitch admin just gifted subs on my stream. A Twitch admin. Dude, a Twitch admin just...
Scar Lord, 5 gifted subs. Rocky Pants, 5 gifted subs. Whose alert is that? We can't show that. Whose alert is that? Turn that alert off.
Which alert was it?
So it's like streamers watching streams. It's like watching streams, and it's just it's like, how do I describe this? Well, I described it already. The content becomes the content.